Well, it seems that the incoming ambassador here to the U.S. Shares the views of many who were here for Trump's inauguration. It was very heavily attended by an Israeli delegation hailing from Judea and Samaria, the West Bank. In fact, the great majority were from that area. Simcha Rothman, the fiery MK, from the member of Knesset from the Religious Zionism Party, his party mate Ohad Tal, the Yesha Council Chief Yisrael Gantz, and the Shomron Regional Council Head Yossi Dagan, all hailing from that part of Israel, Israeli territory. And it really is indicative here of who the Trump administration wants within their circle and who wants to be within the Trump circle as well. Now, we had an opportunity to speak to a number of representatives from the Israeli delegation, and it seemed they told us, listen, we're optimistic about what Trump will bring to that particular part of Israeli territory, but there's a process involved here, and we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Yisrael Gantz, the head of the Yesha Council, told us exactly that yesterday, that while he's optimistic about what results will come, the process needs to play out first. Here's Yisrael Gantz in our conversation with him yesterday here in the Capitol.
I know that they understand right now, first, that it will not be a more terrorist state in the center of the state of Israel. While the last administration pushed so hard to build a two-state solution, which means to build a terrorist state in the heart of the heartland of Israel. And the incoming administration, they understand it will never happen. And more of that, they know our deep connection to Judea and Samaria. So I can't say right now what will be the results of the connection, but I know that we're going into a process that, after all, Judea and Samaria and the state of Israel will be stronger.
But it was interesting, Benita. I kept posing the question, what do you want? What are your priorities? What are you trying to get from the Trump administration in terms of policies? And Gantz and Simcha Rothman, for that matter, told me it's not about that. It's about the Israeli government first making clearer what its policies, what its priorities are before they can expect the Trump administration to play along, to follow along and agree with those policies that are set out. Here's Simcha Rothman yesterday here in the Capitol.
I think that when the second Israel defines for itself what its goals, I believe President Trump is committed to the safety of Israel, to the alliance with Israel. He said it himself. He even said in a quote yesterday, he understands the importance that this is the war that we need to win against terror, against Hamas, against Iran. He understands the issues, and I'm sure he will support the efforts of the State of Israel to be secure and safe in the Middle East.
And likewise, Benita, Yossi Dagan, the longtime head of the Shomron, of the Samaria Regional Council, saying it's not up to Trump here. It's up to Benjamin Netanyahu and the current government to set the tone before Trump can be expected to follow along. Here's Yossi Dagan.
This government can do good things for the state of Israel, can act for Judea and Samaria and the entire state of Israel as never before. It's a time for a historic correction, especially after October 7th, and we're here, the team of the Samaria Regional Council, to explain, to persuade, to build coalitions and connections, to reduce the pressures. But the ball is in Jerusalem's court, with the Prime Minister and government ministers. This is the time for historic things.
Benita, Danny Danon, the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, also attended the inauguration. Michael Herzog, the outgoing ambassador, attended in an official capacity, though largely behind the scenes, but no Israeli government ministers attending the inauguration. Only one was expected. That was Gila Gamliel, the science and technology minister, but in the end, she did not make the trip to Washington. Interesting times.
Interesting times indeed. Meanwhile, talking of the United Nations, Chief Antonio Guterres is praising President Donald Trump's diplomatic efforts to secure a ceasefire and hostage deal after more than 15 months of war. But Mike, we're also learning that the young women released from Hamas captivity in recent days, Emily, Romy and Doron, were held in UN shelters in Gaza, which were meant for civilians. Any comment from the UN on that?
The U.S. is also $2.8 billion behind on payments, so Guterres may be flattering Trump to try to get some of those payments caught up on. But yes, I did ask a UN spokesman for Antonio Guterres a short time ago about those reports that those 3 Israeli hostages released were held at different points in time in UN shelters. The spokesman told me during a briefing today that those are serious allegations that are made, that he looks forward to Israel providing specific information so that the UN can investigate. We know, Benita, that those investigations aren't always carried forth with the seriousness that they're due. But the spokesman telling me and other reporters in the room there today that he's looking forward to getting that information, and that it's possible, although an investigation needs to be carried out, that those shelters were quote-unquote abandoned at the time that those hostages may have been held there during their captivity in Gaza.